Hi guys, this is Dina. I'm a freelance digital artist and illustrator. Excuse my shy voice, this is my first time to do a voiceover for a video. In this video I'm drawing Jinx from Arcane series, if you watch this series. And she's one of my favorite characters in this series. Here I'm doing the outline. I already did the sketch, and I usually do 2 or 3 sketches before I do the final outline or the clean outline. Here I did 2 sketches before I reach this stage of doing the outline. I'm using the dry ink brush. It's a Procreate original brush. I use it for most of my drawings to do the outlines. I also created my own brush I usually use it for the outline. You can find it on my Patreon. It's available for all my Patreons, starting from $1. I also like to start the outline of doing the face features first, but you can start the outline from anywhere in the drawing. There is no rules for that. But doing the face features first allows me to alter the face shape. I can make it wider, thinner, or I can change anything I like about the face shape. But if I draw the face shape first, that will limit me in the face features, the size of the eyes, the mouth, everything about the features of the face. But really you can start wherever you want. There is no rules in drawing. I drew her mouth, but it didn't look exactly how I wanted it to be. So I'm using the lasso tool and the wrap, and I will alter it until I'm satisfied. It's a very useful tool if you want to change little things about your outline. Also, the liquify tool is pretty much helpful if you want to change things about the whole outline of the drawing. After I finished the face features, I made a new layer so I can draw the rest of the outline on a separate layer. It makes it easy if I want to erase something or change different parts in the drawing later. And when I feel satisfied with the whole outline, I merge down all the layers I made the outline into one layer. Now I finished the outline. I select all the layers I did my outline in and group them, and then flatten them so I have my outline on one layer. I try to name my layers so I won't get lost. Of course, that's not always the case, but it's so helpful if you work with many layers. Now I'm putting the final touches in the outline, and if I found something that need to be edited, I edit it before I start coloring my illustration. Now my outline is on one layer. I set my outline layer on multiply mode, and on a layer underneath the outline, I start putting the base color. I like to make the base color the color of the skin. I also lower the opacity of the outline so I can see the color I'm putting on the drawing. I'm tracing the whole illustration with the flat color. After I finish tracing the whole illustration, I will color drop the whole drawing with the flat color I will use. Here I finished tracing. I color drop the skin color. A technique I like to use is to select the skin color, and on layers above the skin color or the flat color, I will color every item or object in the drawing on a different layer. Here I'm using the 6B pencil brush. It's a Procreate original brush. I like to use this brush here so I give the top or hair clothes a little bit of texture. If you don't want any texture, you can use any smooth brush, or you can even color drop like we did with the flat color. When using a brush with texture, I color the whole item manually. Now I will color the hair also on a new layer with the 6B pencil brush. I feel like the blue I picked for her hair is very saturated, so I'm changing the color from the hue saturation and brightness and changing it until I like it. I compare the before and after colors before I decide what I like. I like to use a soft brush for the white of the eyes. It gives it a smooth look. Now I select the white of the eyes and on a new layer above, and using the dry ink brush, I color the iris of the eyes. I also like to give the irises a little bit of texture and gradient. So I'm using the Bonobo chalk and using a darker color of the eyes and a lighter color of the eyes. It gives it a gradient look. Now it's time to draw the eyeliner, but I'm too lazy to draw it again. So I'm selecting the eyeliner I did and doing a copy and paste. And now I erase the outline on the irises and the extras. Also, an easy way to erase something is to select it by the lasso tool and cut it from the drawing. It's one of the helpful tools I learned. I pick the color of the eyes and select the white of the eyes, and on a new layer above the irises and the white of the eyes, and I set it to multiply. Using the dry ink brush, drawing shadow lines for the eyes. It gives it more depth. I'm also drawing white dots on the eyes. It represents the light reflection on the eyes and make it realistic. Now for coloring the eyebrows, it's usually more dark or a little bit dark than the hair color. Now for the lips, coloring the upper lip on a different layer than the bottom lip, because the bottom lip is supposed to be a little bit lighter. It's like a rule if you want your drawings to be a bit realistic. The upper lip is supposed to be thinner and the bottom lip is supposed to be lighter in color. I feel like I made her lips more brown, so I'm changing the colors from the whole saturation and brightness and making them more purple. Now time to add some details. I'm drawing the circles in her top. I'm using the Procreate dry ink brush. I draw a circle and hold and press with my other hand, and this makes it a perfect circle if you are using Procreate. And I'm editing the circle to fit my outline. And if you are too lazy to draw the 4 circles, you can copy and paste like I did here. I'm too lazy to draw them all. It saves me some time. I only edit the circle a little bit to fit the outline. I'm drawing the inner circle and filling the in-between, but you can use a thicker brush. I just didn't think of this until now. Now I finished all the flat colors, and I want to make a colored outline for this drawing. So I'm creating a new layer on top of my outline layer and setting it to multiply mode and picking the color of the skin color to draw the outline for the skin, and picking the color for the hair color to draw the outline of the hair, and etc. for all the parts in the drawing. Also, if you noticed, I didn't draw an outline where two colors collapsed together. This technique I used for the outline makes the illustration look more soft. Now I want to give the hair more natural look, so I'm drawing a few strands using the chalk brush. I'm drawing the hair strands on a layer on top of the hair colors. After I draw all my hair strands, I merge this layer down with the original hair layer. The reason why I did this on separate layer is because if I didn't like a strand, I can easily erase them. But if I drew them on the same layer as the hair layer, if I erase something, it will erase the hair color as well. Now I'm giving my illustration few shadows, and this by selecting the skin color I did and using a purplish or bluish color, and I'm drawing this on top of all my layers but underneath the outline layers, setting the layer on multiply. I'm drawing my hard shadows using the dry ink brush. There is two kinds of shadows, the hard shadows and the soft shadows. The soft shadows I will draw on another layer after this using a more soft brush. If you don't know where to put your shadows, you can use the reference photo as a guide. It really helps me. Now I'm done with my hard shadows. I lower the opacity of this layer. I reached my layer limits, so I'm going back to gallery and duplicating my illustration, and I merge down all the flat colors together, or the things I'm sure I won't edit again. You can merge them down in the original without duplicating the illustration, but I find this more helpful if you want to go back and edit something. Sometimes you make some mistake and it's harder to edit it, or sometimes it's impossible to edit if you merge down all your layers together. Now I'm doing the soft shadows on a new layer using a soft brush and the same color I used for the hard shadows. Also setting the layer on multiply like we did with the hard shadows. After I finished the soft shadows, I lowered the opacity of the layer. Now on a new layer on top of the skin layer, and I set it to clipping mask, I will give my character a little blush. I'm using the soft brush for the blush of the character. We usually do the blush on the cheeks, nose, a little bit on the ears and her shoulders. Also on the elbows, but I didn't draw her elbows in here. Now it's time to add some highlights. So on a new layer, set to add mood and picking a warm light color. I'm adding a hard highlights. You can also imitate the reference photo for the highlights, so it's more accurate. I ended up with the hard highlights on the overlay mood, and I lowered the opacity of the layer a little bit. And on a new layer, and using the soft brush and setting the layer to the add mood, giving the soft highlights. You can experiment with the layers mode until you find what you like. I also lower the opacity of the soft highlights layer. Now I'm giving the hair some dark and light strands and giving it more texture. I do this on many layers. First I use a bonobo chalk, or you can use a soft brush if you want a smoother look. And you can give it darker strands and a lighter strands on a different layers with different moods. I'm giving hair top a texture using the bonobo chalk. I set the texture mode on multiply using the same color as the top. I continue to add more details and texture to the drawing. I'm making my background dark. And making highlights behind the character, so it makes the character pop. Now I'm making my illustration on a one layer. This way I can edit the colors for the whole illustration. I usually edit the whole saturation and brightness. I just keep changing the chart until I'm satisfied with the look of the illustration. I also edit in the color balance and curves. When I like my illustration, I copy and paste it on a new layer and make it a bit sharper and give it more noise. Here I'm just experimenting with the Procreate tools. And I ended up liking the glitch tool. It gives the character a look that I like. Now we are finished. I really hope this was helpful. And thank you for reaching this point in the video. Thank you for the support.